Good morning, everyone. Hey, today I want to talk about nomads. That's kind of a buzzword that's been going around for, quite recently, more so. There's books out, there's movies out. People are trying to define all types of nomads. So I just kind of wanted to take a couple minutes and give you my definition and how I use the term nomad on our YouTube page. And so you will kind of get a reference of that and also my reference of thinking about it. First of all, let's just start with the basic definition of nomad. And basically, it's going to be one without a home who travels freely. That's essentially it. Somebody who does not actually have a home that they go back to, very important, and who travels freely without a specific destination in mind. So, to me, that's the definition. That's what's been written in several dictionaries. And from there are offshoots. And of course, you know how I love my continuum. There's kind of like the solid definition and then extremes on both ends. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about that. Now, what is a nomad? A nomad, boy, I tell you what, let me see. We've been speaking language for about 50,000 years. We developed agriculture somewhere around 10 to 12,000. Some people say 20,000 years. But no matter what, long before that, centuries before that, if not thousands, tens of thousands of years before that, man or some form of man has been mostly nomadic. And this is for a couple reasons. One is, the biggest is food. We did not have agriculture back then, and so we needed to travel for food. We just didn't have that many people dining at McDonald's, so we had to travel for our own food. So that's the biggest reason, is because of food and animals and also vegetation. So because of inclement weather and the seasons, things blossomed and growed and were accessible plants for man at different times of the year. And animals also followed migration patterns. So whether we hunted for meat or fish or for root vegetables, berries, fruit, any of that, we were, for the most part, nomadic. Nowadays, it's a different twist. We can buy things in a can or frozen or freeze-dried when things aren't growing in the right season. Also, with our transportation, global transportation and shipping, we can get avocados in the dead of winter or anything, because we can travel all over the world. So there's really no reason as a society we need to be nomadic. Yet today there still is around the world millions of people that are nomadic. They estimate worldwide about 30 to 50 million people are millennials. Some of them in a traditional tribal sense that have been not unchanged for millennials. Some other people are more contemporary. I kind of divide being a nomad in what kind of nomads there are in kind of four categories: rich nomads, retired nomads, digital nomads, and what I call offline or obligatory nomads. And so let's just take a look at those. I'm kind of leaving off the Yanomamo tribes or the tribes somewhere in the Amazon or Africa that travel. I'm not really touching on them. I'd like to speak more about modern society, okay? So in modern society, let's look at the rich ones. The rich nomads, and again, guys, I'm an American and I'm going to be in the United States most of my time, so I'm kind of centered on that. I know Europe has a huge nomadic population of people traveling in RVs and vans, but I'm kind of restricting my topic to things I know. And so the first kind of segment would be, for me, the rich nomads. And these are people that are independently wealthy. They don't want to live anywhere in particular. They have these $500,000 diesel pushers class, these Class A's that are huge, and steering wheels and sliding out living rooms, washer and dryer in the back, and they can stay at RV resorts that can run anywhere from $30 to $150 a night. Money's not really an object, and they have their own communities and their own culture. So these are nomadic people. A lot of them do not have a place to live, and they're just not really going anywhere in particular. They may have a route that they circle, but for the most part, they're nomadic. The next one I'd like to talk about would be the retired folks. And these people are on some kind of a pension and their Social Security, and they are retired. Now, these people can still work and do work part-time. But not necessarily because they need the money. They may want the supplemental money. And you're going to find these people, some are going to be in the more expensive RVs and staying at private campgrounds and resorts and RV parks. But a lot of these folks, because they're on more of a limited budget, I can't really pinpoint how much, $1,000, $1,500, $3,000 a month, whatever. They have a tendency to be a little bit more conservative with their money and when they're traveling. And they are people that you're going to find more on BLM land. BLM stands for Bureau of Land Management. And this is free government land. It's all over, mostly in the western part of the United States. Land that's accessible to the public that you can camp on for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes a little less, but usually 14 days is your limit before you have to move at least, I think, 20 miles away, 25 miles away as the crow flies. So, retired people. The next one would be the digital nomads. Now, these people are all over the world, and I, right now, fall into that category. I'm not retired. Marvy's not retired, and yet we're both nomadic. But for the last 5 years, we've been nomadic and digital because I make my living right now as an online English teacher. I use Skype. And therefore, I could leave right now and jump on a plane and fly to Tahiti or to Vienna and start my classes like scheduled at tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And nothing has changed between my student and I. So this is how I work. There's a lot of other people who are digital nomads that make a living as freelance writers, consultants, job coaches or life coaches, technical writers, IT people, or people who write code. And there's actually centers, work centers for these people that you can go. Here in Puerto Vallarta, I can go downtown. It's about $10 a day, but it's a nice work office space that's, you can meet other people. I've met some really great people, technical writers and people like that also may be living here for a year, 2 years, whatever, but they may pick up tomorrow and move somewhere else. They do not need to be anywhere in particular. So digital nomads is quite another unique part of being a nomad. And then we finally get to the last one, and that's kind of the offline obligatory nomads. And these are people that are spoken about in great detail in a book that's really popular right now called Nomadland. A woman named Jessica Bruder wrote this book after spending, I think, 3 years with a collective group of nomadic people. And though she kind of talks about all nomads like I did in the beginning of her book, she really focuses on this offline, meaning non-digital working nomads that kind of have to do it because they can't afford to do anything else by choice. And they maybe don't have a family to live with, they're older, their pensions or Social Security may be $400 a month, and they have no safety net. And so they find it much easier to get a RV or a van and travel around in a community. They get to know people, and there's jobs available. And as Jessica Bruder mentions in this book, Nomadland, Amazon is a great employer for these types of people during the winter season, the pre-Christmas season, as well as a sugar beet harvest up in the Dakotas. During the summer, many people will get a job as a camp host where you may go camping and you need to pay to get into a campsite area. These are the people that you pay. They're given free a spot to camp in and usually free electricity and water and maybe a stipend, some small amount of money for the season in exchange for managing the campsites, cleaning them up, making sure no one gets too unruly and rude. I just want to be really clear about this, and one reason I wanted to do this video is because this book is gaining popularity, and there's a new movie that's coming out called Nomadland with Frances McDormand, who's like one of my favorite actresses, and I think she is for a lot of people. So this movie and book is going to garner a lot more attention. But folks, I want to be really clear, that's just one niche, that's just one part of being a nomad. There's a whole variety of people. So her book doesn't speak for everyone, but it's still just a super great insight. In the United States, currently there's about 1 million. According to the Washington Post, I think in 2017 or 2018, I'll research it and then it should appear right here in just a second. There it is, whatever it is, there it is. Anyway, the Washington Post did what do they call that, a poll or a survey, and said that there are over 1 million people living in RVs. Now, I'm not sure if that even included vans and cars and tents, but people that are traveling the United States right now. So there's a tremendous movement about this. If you want to know more about it, you can jump on YouTube and just type in nomad, van life, wanderlust, RV life, any of those. But as a caution, as with everything, not everything is as it seems to be. You've got the people who followed this dream without any planning, and they sold everything they had, and they went out and bought the crappiest old RV with no money in the bank in case the transmission went out. They failed miserably with mold inside the RV or it leaking, and so they launched a YouTube channel that wants to target anybody who's being positive about living this life, and they kind of attract the negative people and followers. Then you have kind of like the normal people that are out there doing it, and they're showing the good with the bad, and some of them are doing it really, really well. There are people that aren't really nomads, but they are travel videographers where they may be out for 7 or 8 months at a time and do a beautiful job of showing the national parks, campgrounds, things with music, cinematography, everything really nice. Then there's kind of the posers, so ones with the beautiful young couple in the beautiful $40,000 Sprinter van, and everything's immaculate, and she's always in a thong bikini, so beautiful, and he's handsome and perfect, and everything's perfect. Well, as you know in life, nothing's that perfect. So when you see these things, just put stuff in perspective. It's kind of fun to watch all of them. So it's Wild West out there on YouTube and on the internet and out there in the world of being a nomad. So boy, that's about it. Just really quick, I wanted to lay out all of the types. Remember, you got the rich nomads, you've got kind of the retired folks or semi-retired, and those guys kind of jump between being, they fall between that retired and obligatory, depending if they need supplemental income or not. There's people like me right now that I will be retired, but I also will be teaching online. And then relying on YouTube videos and other social media like our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. If you don't know what Patreon is, follow a link down below and check it out. We would appreciate your support. Other than that, you know the thing. Subscribe, like, and if you could share this video, that would be fantastic, or any of the videos you see of ours. And one last thing, what was that? Oh yeah, just remember, at the beginning of August, we will be leaving and stopping this type of a video. And we're going to be transitioning to a real life vlog where we're going to be landing in Las Vegas, buying a van and starting the real life. You'll see the good and the bad. It's going to be great, so be sure to subscribe. And as always, guys, please write your questions below or your comments. If you think I missed something about a nomad, if there's something that you know or you know somebody, write it down and share. We'd love to hear from you, okay? That's it. Thanks. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. Bye.